On the matter we're about to discuss, we've heard from the Ghana Union of Traders Association, the AGI, the Association of Ghana Industries. We've heard from the GFL, the Ghana Federation of Labour. We've heard from the IEA. We've heard from the TUC. I'm sure you've guessed by now. We've heard from Vice President Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia. And we've also heard from former President John Dramani Mahama. We started a conversation yesterday with a crack panel to break down some of the major issues, from the agri sector to a bit of academia, economics, and we even engaged Labour, Guta, yesterday. Today we try to move that conversation forward by addressing what a 24-hour economy really is from the Labour perspective and what it could mean for our country. Because while many say that it is an outstanding thing, the TUC boss, Dr. Yalba, the Secretary General, referred to it as a game changer. But changing the game would require the implementation of certain crucial cogs in the wheel. So, where do we go? Do we try it? Should we leave it for now? Joining us for a conversation on that, our guest, Austin Gamey. He's a Labour consultant. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Ben.
And thank you for joining the conversation this morning.
You're welcome.
Like I said, there's been a lot of talk about it. Yesterday, we had them here talking about same economists, those in agribusiness and Labour. But from where you sit as a Labour consultant, with all these decades of work in that sector, with the vast expanse of knowledge you have on unemployment in Ghana, what is your initial thinking on a 24-hour economy?
Thank you so much. To be very honest with you, this is not just merely a game changer. It's going to be the dominance of everything and anything we do here in Ghana. I've traveled a lot. And to be very honest with you, the reason why we are so backward as a nation.
Backward? Isn't that a strong word?
Sure. I think so. It's simply because we have not managed ourselves well. It's about time we discover what is appropriate. Let me give you a definition of what I see. And I'm not just following merely the thinking of the people who are saying it, but I'm a teacher of it as well. The 24-hour economy, I defined it as a planned economy that gives people a sense of belonging, not by default. Let me just pause here and to say that because we have always been living with a kind of partisan political economy, we assume that we are, keeping ourselves going, and now here we are in a complete abyss. It's therefore the practice of inclusive economy to open the door for decent job creation, enhanced productivity, assurance of return on the investments of those who will invest, collaboration and co-creation. The whole nation will have to be mobilized. This in turn creates an environment in which people feel that they are part of the national agenda, not a parochial feeling of anyone. When people feel they are part of a national economic agenda, they care for it. Furthermore, I see it that the 24-hour economy will create elevated cities across Ghana, not Kumasi, not Ho, not Tema, not Accra, everywhere in Ghana, as a pulsating, glamorous place where activities will always be happening. Right in the streets, movement of people at night, maximum use of apartments, innovative restaurants, high-tech cafes, and late-night bookshops, tourism, among others. But above all, I think that we now have arrived. This is a stepping stone, a major stepping stone to fulfill the constitutional provision under Article 36 of the 1992 Constitution.
Right.
Any president who will emerge in Ghana here, whose agenda, whose vision will not be based upon upon the directive principles of state policy is a failure to begin with, and therefore cannot participate even in the election coming in 2024. If you participate, you will get a very low something, and you'll be surprised. And I think that after this conversation, this is the beginning of the election of 2024. And anyone whose vision is not going to propel the nation into a real stardom, forget it.
I think now you're veering into the work that maybe the NDPC would be doing, the National Development Planning Commission. But you cited, Article 36 of our Constitution. It's in terms of economic objectives. It says the state shall take all necessary action to ensure that the national economy is managed in such a manner as to maximize the rate of economic development and to secure the maximum welfare, freedom, and happiness of every person in Ghana, and to provide adequate means of livelihood and suitable employment and public assistance to the needy. I get your point, but you also talk about innovative this and innovative that. You do realize that in terms of a 24-hour economy, we are not even toddling yet. We are babies with practically no teeth. And that while we may, as the Vice President himself says, have some aspects of our economy like health, though it is weak at night and more active during the day, some transportation, a very thin sliver, semblance of it, it would take quite a lot to innovate the way you are talking of. And yesterday, having this conversation with the other stalwarts from academia and those on the ground, you would also realize that, for example, we're in an IMF program. Whichever administration takes over in 2024, we have an extra 2 years within an IMF program. While and it has been mentioned that even the MPP could take this idea and run with it, however people will perceive it. But whichever administration wants to go ahead with this will have to do so within the context of an IMF program. How do you see that working out?
It's not, I would say it's simple, but it's not simpler. The Vice President, I hope that those who are listening and advise him will guide him not to go overboard again. But that said, he said it appears it's not possible. He said it's a bad idea. And therefore, he has played himself. He has to now come into the mainstream again. But this is the idea of the former president. I'm not going to speak for, I haven't seen him for about 7 years now. But I teach this. And let me tell you this. We have a very terrible unemployment situation on our hand.
Over 13% at the moment.
More than that. The statistics can talk about 13, 14, 15%, but it's more than that. We all know that a lot of people come out from the educational institution and are looking for jobs. I work for a number of companies. I work for some of the trade unions. I can tell you on authority that there is a huge gap of unemployment. It's more than that people have been talking about. This is a horrible thing. Now, I don't see anything IMF, anything whatsoever that will be a hindrance to the move of this 24-hour. If it was not prescribed, I was going to raise it anyway and challenge the media to ensure that we do not veer into unnecessary, unhealthy things like doomsaw and this, and these are past things.
You were going to propose this 24-hour economy?
It's going to be nothing but the economy of Ghana 24 hours. We can't sleep. We can't sleep and expect that we'll be a first world ever in this world. We can make it. And I strongly believe that if the former president is very serious, and I believe he is serious, and he would lay out, as I've seen few of the snipers from him, but based upon Article 36, and it's not going to be just a figure of speech. The reality is that the leadership must be high quality leader and be ready to listen to we the people. They are our servants. Every president is a servant of the people of this country. You have no business imposing your personal vision upon us. It might be based upon nothing but Article 36 of the 1992 Constitution. Period.
But is this not one of them? An imposition of a personal vision. He says 24-hour economy. Though I concede that what many people don't know, Hassan Ayariga, the APC, proposed this in 2020 in its manifesto. The NDC also proposed it in its manifesto. But even before that, the 40-year development plan had it, and we threw it away. So this has actually been percolating for a long time. It's not even new. It's not something that is now coming up.
Yeah. Ben, I have about 100 slides teaching note on this. And it's workable, and it will work. It's for the media to ensure that nobody veer the nation off track. We are not going to talk about doing so again. It's gone. It's buried. We are not going to talk about anything other than the economy of Ghana, based upon 24 hours. That is what the Constitution prescribes us to do. That is what the labor law prescribes us to do. We must ensure that we work. We are an unproductive nation, and we must be productive. To be productive, the harbor must open 24 hours. And it's not going to, people will have to clear their things 24 hours. People, manufacturing, it has to be an induced economy. An induced economy.
When you say induced, what do you mean? Because you can't force the economy as well to propel beyond its strength. So what exactly do you mean?
The economy has to be planned and executed by people without pride, without partisan consideration. The whole nation is one constituency for the president. And therefore, the president must make maximum use of the human resource material that is available at his disposal. Now, if we plan the economy well, what it is that people will be working, the 24 hours we are talking about will not be a figure of speech. It will be something real. People will have to do 2 jobs, 3 jobs, wherever I've studied. I did my industrial relations program in Geneva and other countries, and in Japan. They do 3, people do 2 jobs, people do 3 jobs, people do contract, people do part-time, people do temporary work. Our labor law is awash with job creation.
On paper?
It could have been made manifest if the people who have the intelligence want to really make it work. It appears that we talk about things in this country and we don't do. Let me give you one example. Under Section 6 of the Labour Act, and I know it will be copied tomorrow morning, but under Section 6 of the Labour Act, we can create not less than 1,200 jobs on a 3-shift system. I was the chairman of the committee that wrote that.
Under Section 6 of the Labour Act, we can create no less than 1,200 jobs.
Less than 1,200 jobs upon the assumption of any intelligent, meaningful president of this country.
Can you give us an idea what Section 6 of the Labour Act says?
Section 6 of the Labour Act, I don't need to even look at it to tell you what it is. It has to be placed first under the Chief Labour Officer, and the Chief Labour Officer's office. Maybe we change the name, not necessarily calling it another name, but that section will become like a Bureau of Labour Statistics to ensure that we collect data from all employers, including the informal sector, and that's going to be the real game changer.
Is the Ghana Statistical Service not already doing that in some of its reports? Just yesterday, I was reading some reports tied to that.
They do well. Ghana, and I doff my hat for them, but there is a lot more. That's why we crafted it the way we crafted it in the Labour Act. Now, when this data is collected, every quarter it will be collected, and they will pay for it. It's not going to be so much expensive. And the division, the Bureau of Labour Statistics, as we may wish to christen it as a nation, will ensure that this data is properly made available and the universities will not teach amiss again. They will stay focused on exact, precise figures, because Joy will submit, let me call it Joy. Joy will submit to the Chief Labour Officer every quarter your employment data, those who have gone out, those who are on contract, those who are doing part-time, those who are doing temporary work, leave matters, everything will be properly streamlined. So when people are are churning out figures in the system, it will be real figures, not just presumed kind of things.
Not conjecturing. And I see where you're going, because like in the US, where they are able to say, look, and this quarter, we have a deficit of this in labor.
Precisely.
And you know specifically that maybe we have fewer accountants at post, we have fewer people who are in the restaurant business and all of that. That's what you're thinking.
I did my labor statistics with the Bureau of Labor Statistics in the US, in Washington. And that's precisely the basis on which we crafted Section 6 of the Labor Act. And there are several, that's why there is temporary job there. If you work for 1 hour, by ILO definition, you are in gainful employment. What it is that we are not doing the right thing, because everybody go to sleep. We sleep about 16 hours in this country. We work for 8 hours. Few of us stay and learn and study here and there. It doesn't make any income for anybody. The reality is that we have to work. We have to be productive. We must pay people enough money. On top of it, I can guarantee you, if somebody will ask the question, where are we going to get money from? You're talking about IMF. Put IMF aside. Corruption alone, if it's driven into the abyss, and we have the money that goes into corruption, it can be used for the purpose of creating, the infrastructure. Why was the fiber optic cable late? It was late, so we cannot be hoodwinked by any digital and anything at all.
But the very people you are going to put in charge of this, and I don't think you're expecting a miraculous leadership. The very people that we call leaders in this country, I sometimes call them misleaders, the political elite, are the very ones who are going to be in charge of all of this. They are the same ones who have superintended this corruption, this graft, this mess that we're in throughout the Fourth Republic.
Yes, I appreciate that.
So how are you going to do this? Because they are the same people pulling the strings.
I appreciate that. And people like you and people like many others in this country will have to come to terms that from 2025, January, whoever takes office as the president of this country, you will never have the luxury of directing us on his own terms again. Let me repeat it again. I'm not going to die. I'll be in this country.
God grants that.
By His grace. I'm
right.
Depending on Him. Everybody who cares knows what I stand for. We will live in this country. From January 2025, whoever is ambitious to become president of this nation, you must be ready to be the servant of the people. We will not allow any president to misuse our money again. Even from now, if Ghanaians are serious, no president has the right to take 1 cedi from the exchequer, and Parliament will be made to work and work for it. Everybody, the OSP will be made to work for it. The judiciary will have to work for it. Let me give you an example of how we can create 24 hours. Our judiciary will have to work. And I have confidence in the people who are there. They will have to work 24 hours. We will set up a national ADR center that will have to deal with issues that are not criminal in nature. Criminal matters can be handled in the law courts. But civil cases, issues about husband and wife, that goes to the court and stay there for years, will have to go to the ADR center, and it will create jobs in thousands and thousands. I form part of the team that wrote it as well. Now, there is money. When they talk about there is money, the money that is available in this country, including the pension. You are reasonably in your twilight, therefore your money will be there for the next 20 years before you come on retirement. That money will have to be used productively. We did an actuarial study on that before we concluded, before the Pensions Act was written. I formed part of the team that wrote the pensions program. And I want to tell you that there is huge money available in this country, but it's being misdirected. It must end here now. The 24-hour economy is the only thing we are going to talk about come 2024. And that is going to be the one that John Mahama will have to speak to, Dr. Baumia will have to speak to, Alan Chiremante will have to speak to, Ayariga will have to, whoever wants to stand election, you must be ready. We are not going to speak about Dumso, it's gone. We are not going to talk about insulting people here and there. It's all dead and buried.
The Vice President is talking about digitization and digitalization, how you actually get resources from digitization. In fact, in recent times, he's been talking about cars that would be secured with a Ghana
they
card.
All subsets of the 24-hour economy.
You pay over time.
Are you there? If he's listening to me, the digitization is merely a subset of the 24-hour economy. It's a subset of it. I mean, they were laying fiber optic cables before he became vice president. So nobody, and I have a deep-seated respect for him. He can become president of Ghana, but he will have to align with Article 36. He will have to align with the desire of the nation. We don't want any personal vision of anybody. The vision must be based upon the Constitution of Ghana. My friend Alan Chiremante said GTP, Great Transport, is just a subset of the 24-hour economy.
But this alignment that you speak of, we've always had Section 36 of the Constitution.
Has it ever been implemented?
The question then I would throw back at you, has any president been fettered, compelled to go down that road? I do get where you're going with this. The NDPC, for example, why do our presidents not stick to the proposal? Sometimes when you speak, I've spoken to heads in the past, I've spoken to heads now. And they'll tell you in private, sometimes they'll bring chinks of it into the conversation that, listen, you can bring out all the most brilliant ideas, but those there, the politicians, decide what will be done and what will not be done, and even what resources will be given to the NDPC and what will not be given to you. You can't compel the politician to do anything. At least in our country, that is what it is. And you talk about servant leadership, that they are there to serve us. But the truth is, we are serving them. How do you change that?
Let me throw it back to you. You have done well now by inviting me. You have been talking to people who have followed you closely. We need the Benjamin Akakpos. We need the Randy Abbes. We need a lot of the people. We need the Kabas. We need everybody. We need the Kwame Sefakai and so forth. Everybody must humble himself and be ready to take the fight to them. And the fight, I mean, is intelligence. I'm not talking about brawn things. I'm talking about intelligence. From today, going forward, nobody should be given a chance to misbehave towards the citizenry of Ghana. Nobody. No president. My friend, the great Nana-Addo is the president of this country. The next 1 year that is left for him in office, he will have to conform to the things we are talking about. But sufficing to say that come the year 2024, you, the media, you must lead the crusade, and I'll be part of it. We must ensure that nobody drives us into the abyss of insult in this kind of campaign again. Bring them back to the 24 hours economy. Look, it's not, forget about even the fact that John Mahama said it in the first place. The reality is that it must be 24-hour economy, nothing more, nothing less.
Let me just acknowledge this message. Susan Manwa Ankra says, good morning, Ben. I'm enjoying the show, and your guest, Mr. Gamey, talks a lot of sense. We need people like him with some common sense. I hope people will sit up and listen to some wisdom. Thank you, Susan, for sending in that message. But even as we talk about this, you stated categorically, and with your wealth of experience, I found it a bit curious. You said, we are an unproductive nation. The vice president himself, before becoming vice president, had said his administration would move the country from taxation to production. Now I look at the different levers of our economy. You have the state, you have public institutions, you have private institutions, you have individuals in there. There's been a lot of talk about TVET, technical vocational training. Germany and Switzerland always come to mind when I think of those. STEM. How do we integrate? How do we trigger these cogs in the wheel of our economy to actually get the results? Because from where I sit, when you look at the levers of our economy, everything is haphazard. And you even look at the crucial sectors of our economy. Health. What is our health like? And in terms of the external input, which if withdrawn, what will be the impact? Look at services. Look at our telcos. If any day the telcos decide, okay, so Ghana, yes, we're making money here, but we're angry with you and whatever, we'll come crumbling to the ground, regardless of our stake in 80, Airtel Tigo. How do we integrate these levers to create this 24-hour economy? Because it will not happen overnight, and it's not just about saying it, actualizing it, let's be factual, is going to be difficult. It's not going to be easy.
I agree with you. It's not going to be easy, but it's not simple. It will be made simple. All we need is high quality leadership in the presidency, not just a leader. High quality leadership in the president with all the humility that it deserves.
I have to come in here again. High quality leadership in the presidency. Under John Ejekum Kufuor, I noticed some things happening, and a president will always have his impact. I always go back to, I think it was Buhari's first coming in Nigeria, Professor Chinua Achebe, may his soul rest in peace, in his mini book, The Trouble with Nigeria. And if you read that book, you can see a complete reflection of Nigeria today and even Ghana today. He talks about the fact that this person had, yes, a military leader, but after the coup, everybody the following day, the go slow, as they called it in Nigeria, was non-existent. Everyone was at post because they knew this person was a brutal person. So it worked for a while, and then everything reverted to what it used to be. But if that change could come to bear on the back of one person knowing that, hey, this guy, I know it's possible. But wait, one person can't do it all.
Yes.
Look at 1D1F. We have 1D1F. We have planting for food and jobs, PFJ. We have all of these. The president didn't have to execute them himself. He had people in charge. Yet all of these, would you say they've been largely successful? That's where my concern is.
Yes, let me show you something. One, we have three key essentials that must be brought into this fruition. To make the 24-hour economy work, one, we need high-quality leader who has the capacity to appreciate the dynamics of the change that we are talking about. That's number one. Two, we are going to work through a transition. Ghana is going to go through another transition. And that quality of a president who is going to be the servant of the people. We have employed the president. The president didn't employ us. Nana Addo, sitting in his office right now, my namesake, he is our servant. He will have to serve us. And the transition we are going to go through is very simple. One, we are going 24-hour, as it were, from 2025 January, when the president is sworn into office. And we will make sure we go through that. The transition period is to bring about everybody. When they say game changer is about having a national conversation, just like John Mahama did with us going into the last IMF before this one. We met in Senchi and went through a progressive conversation where all manner of people, I recall, I was there myself, I recall the Kwame Pianims, I recall the Kwesi Bochwe's late, I recall the Professor, a number of them, and chiefs who are economists, they were all there. I was there too. We went through a certain transition and brought out salient and important things that when we do as a nation, we can survive it. And that's why it was, even though it was election period in 2016, zero finance is going to be the same. Anybody who spent our money more than required by Parliament, you are guilty. You are guilty.
We have had budget statements massaged to suit the purpose. How will we change that?
It's up to us as a people. Parliament...
You mean it's up to the institutions?
It's up to us as a people. We should never allow anybody to bulldoze his way through anymore.
There are institutions supposed to do certain work. If they fail to do them, what do we as individuals do?
What have you done?
When as media, we highlight the issues, we bring them to the fore, and the institutions do not do what must be done. What can we do? What do we do?
It can be done.
Do we demonstrate beyond demonstrations? What do we do?
It can be done. It can be done. The shift here is a paradigm shift from the traditional adversarial approach. We should put aside the adversarialism. That's not what I'm talking about. But we should hold the people, not highlighting and leaving it. I know after this interview, I will not have my freedom again. All the media houses would like to be talking to me. I know that. I will oblige. But let me tell you this. There has to be a paradigm shift. Otherwise, this nation will paralyze. May I repeat it? This nation will paralyze. Your children will suffer. Because we have been put into an abyss already. Already today, we are in a complete abyss of indebtedness. We all know that. That is why we cannot afford to have a kind of partisan, parochial idea about this. No. It has to be 24 hours economy. And from today, any media house that will not speak about it, the media house is not part of Ghana. You are not serious.
Let me ask you this. It cannot be that everything is in a total mess. At least we have something going right?
Like what?
What do we have going right? No, it's a question I'm putting to you. For example, we have the after, right? How are we tapping into that? How can it feed into a 24-hour economy?
Precisely.
Already, some levers, no matter how small, even if it's health and they are working 24/7, though the night shift, I have personal experience. You go to a hospital, there's no doctor to attend to you, there's practically nothing. But it's there. How do we trigger those to ensure that they scale up? What are the good points, at least, we have that we can scale up on?
My brother Benjamin, I am a consultant to a number of very top-class companies and banks. And very high, the nurses, I work for them as their consultant. All the laboratory
technicians,
people in Ghana here, including the doctors who are laboratory people, I am their consultant. And let me tell you this. We are not working. We are not paying people well. What we envisage under the Constitution of Ghana, we haven't done a quarter of it. Did I say a quarter? I'm being charitable. We are not working as a nation. We are sleeping too much. I just came from Singapore as a guest speaker in a big forum. And I can tell you on authority that Ghana, we are sleeping too much. They have 4% unemployment and they were crying. We have 15% and we are happy. We are happy with it. This is complete. We are in an abyss. We must get out from the abyss. The way to get out is this. You're talking about what are we doing well. I like that. What we are really set up as a nation to do, we haven't done even 1/4 of it.
Right. I think that we know already.
Yes. So
we're fully aware of that.
Yes.
The question is how to reverse the trend.
So we have to get out.
How do we do that?
That's precisely what we're talking about now. One, we have different sets of beliefs, but we must have one agenda now to talk about. And the agenda is the 24-hour economy. Not yesterday manna. Anybody talking, I hear Christians singing about yesterday is gone, we are in another day. If we are in another day, we are not going to talk about yesterday again. So anybody that will raise anything about yesterday, I used to hear people talking about, and things have gone bad during Mahama's time. Are we in Mahama's time? We are supposed to be planting for food and jobs. Number one, what's our poultry situation today? Why are we...
The poultry situation has been dwindling for a long time.
I agree.
All the way from Akoko Dako's time when things were really boom and then bust hit, and since that time we've never properly recovered.
Yes, I hardly buy...
the Dako farms.
Not just that. Today, in my small backyard, I can guarantee you I have guinea fowls and I have got chicken. I don't sell, I eat. I'm not going to buy nothing. We must work. We must stop sleeping. And it's going to be 24 hours, 3-shift system. I work for one of the best or the 2 best hotels in this country as their consultant. And I can tell you that the way we expected the work to grow and develop is not yet developing because we don't have millions and millions of people pouring into this country the way you expected it to pour. We used to have GTMC, Ghana Textile Manufacturing Company. They ran 3 shifts. They employed not less than 8,000 to 10,000 people in Tema. We had TTL, Tema Textiles Limited, employed similar number. We have Japon Textiles employing similar number. They're all dead. Dead. We must bring back the manufacturing. And that's why I use the word induced. We must ensure that the voluntary aspect of what former President Mahama said will be there. But we must induce through deliberate policies and guidance for people to be willing to come and invest in this country. How many of us haven't traveled outside this country? What did we see? And what have we brought to bear on what we know here? To be very honest with you, we haven't helped ourselves. We have let loose ourselves, have allowed our presidents, have allowed our people who are in institutions to bulldoze their way through too much. It has ended today. From today going forward, we should not allow anybody to misuse the people of this country anymore. The youth are listening to you. The youth are listening to you right now. They are going to vote their conscience. No more partisan things. People are going to vote their conscience. And I expect the president, whoever, will come and bring about this 24-hour economy is the one we are going to ensure that we hold responsible to ensure that we don't remain in the same abyss anymore. We should never.
Let me just bring in this bit. So I want a clear roadmap. This could be the conversation, maybe the catalyst,
yes,
whatever it is. But when you look at the experience of other countries, I mean, the former president talks about a 3-shift system by industries, commercial entities on a daily basis, businesses being encouraged with tax incentives, more security to be provided to boost tourism as well, lower electricity tariffs, especially during peak hours, special meters to be given out to those that come along, and then the fact that this initiative will be voluntary. Now, if you don't have, I keep going back to the right levers of the economy in place, you can't even get private industry or private enterprise to come along. That is the first point. And I want you to note that down before I proceed. Now, there's also the other bit. On the other hand, what have other economies done? I've been highlighting this. London, in 2014, moved from 17.7 billion to 26.3 billion pounds in terms of gross value added on the back of their night economy. About 1.63 billion yearly, that's the projection by 2026, created 1.26 million jobs with 66,000 additional jobs. You can look at Sydney, which in 2017 generated $27.2 billion on the back of their night industry or their 24-hour economy, 234,000 jobs created. We can look at the US, from New York to Las Vegas. We can look at Tokyo in Japan, South Korea, that is the city of Seoul, Singapore, the city-state, London in the UK, Dubai in the UAE, where we are hosting COP28. Interestingly, all these countries are first tier in terms of development. These are in the developed north. Yes, we have the Kenyan example and the attempts and all of that, but would this not be maybe biting more than we can chew?
I don't want to be part of the partisan situation again. Otherwise, me, if I become president of this nation tomorrow, 2 years in front of us, I guarantee you, we will operate this same thing like it's been done in Singapore, like it's been done in, because
Are you contemplating being a politician, though? Let me find out.
No, I have done my best already. Next year, I'll be 75 years old. I don't need to be in the vineyard of it again. But I have something I'm doing. But we will not allow those who are going ambitious to become presidents of this nation. We will not allow them, and let them hear me now, we will not allow them to ride over us again the way that is being done. We will not allow it again. And dare anybody who will like to be vicious on anyone's life, they will suffer the consequences for it. I don't need to hold a gun, but I can go down on my knee and they will suffer the consequences for it. All I want to say is this. This country, I don't want to talk about details so much so that people would misuse it. But I've heard that the former president said between the 7th or so, 6th, 7th, 8th or so, he will be speaking to the nation about this particular 24-hour. So I don't want to take the shine out of anything. He brought his idea. We all have snipers of it, but he should come and tell us exactly what it is. Dr. Baumia should tell us about his digitization. My friend Alan Shermanten should tell us about his GTP. Whoever wants to be president of this nation, come and tell us yours. Let nobody attack personality again. Let nobody insult anybody again, because we've suffered in every part of it. We suffered. Nothing seems to be working now as we are here now. Everybody knows it. I am not the one saying it. And therefore, cheap popularity on the part of the clergies, on the part of anybody is out, because we are not going to vote at the back of religion as people are trying to propose. It won't happen in this nation. Nobody will vote on the part of religion. We are going to vote on the part of the economy to create jobs for the youth. And I'm concerned because by the Ghana Statistical Service information that we all have at our disposal, what it means is that millions of Ghanaians, 19.8 million people as at 2021, by the Ghana Statistical Service information that we have at our disposal, are people who are ready for the job market. 11.5 million people are economically active people. And about 8.3 million people are outside the job. They are not working. And so if we talk about 13, 15%, I don't understand that kind of statistics. It's more than that. The reality is that the so-called informal sector will have to be properly formalized, and they will become part and parcel. And our labor law is very clear. And let me tell you, they were part and parcel of the preparation of the Labor Act, the informal sector.
Right.
I was the chairman. We invited them. They participated actively in it. The same manner we invited them, they participated actively in the preparation of the pension scheme for Ghana. I was part of the team that wrote it. And I can tell you on authority that they are not stupid. The Makola people, the people who have kiosks and are selling and have employed people, they are not stupid people. They are very intelligent people. And so therefore, we will not sit them outside. For instance, let's take Ghana card as an example. Why should everybody not have access to Ghana card? Why are we treating the Ghana card as if it's an essential commodity?
But attempts have been made. Once you want it, you go through the registration process. It may be long, but you'll get it.
But it's not fair. In any civilized society, to obtain an ID card, you don't have to go and form that long queue. In any civilized country, we appear to be, talking drum of people who are not civilized. We have to rediscover ourselves. It's not about wearing this kind of dress or your beautiful suit. That's not the issue. That does not make you gentle. A gentle fellow has a character. And and you display it. If you are a president and you are called the number one gentleman, you are a servant of the people. You have to serve the people and not lord it over them.
Okay, so we've come to this point where we'll leave the conversation because as of now, we've addressed from different angles, all the way from Friday till now, or to now, what this could mean for us, how we could make the most of it, but then again, what it would mean. And it's going to be a pinch that all of us would have to bear. In some 30 seconds, what will be your final words to Ghanaians?
The economy is the only agenda for 2024. No other agenda, because every other thing is a subset of it. Infrastructure is a subset of it. Harbor, building new harbor, wherever, is a subset of it. The economy, 24-hour economy, not just any economy. We are not going to run 8-hour kind of job. The talk about is existing already is not true. We have some form of shift, but this is a 24-hour economy. Economy is all-embracing. It's not a subset of anything. We're going to run complete 24-hour economy, get our youth employed. I was at a meeting recently, and some people from Australia were interviewing about 1,000 youth from Ghana to be sent into the mining sector in Australia. That is a skilled labor being shipped away. I'm happy they got jobs. But the point is that we need everybody in this country. And our countrymen and women who are outside this country must come and be of help to us. And therefore, we need everybody to be ready 24-hour. When you complete this interview, Joy FM, you finish everything with them, you can go and work elsewhere another 2 hours. Another 2 hours. I did part of my program in Chicago, in the US, and I can tell you it's very interesting. ADR also is going to feature prominently. We're going to have at least, I expect the next president of this country to engage the judiciary. About 60% of all civil cases will be handled through ADR.
Okay.
So we can have 24
alternative
hours.
Dispute resolution.
I call it appropriate dispute resolution, not alternative. That's
right.
That's a jargon of maybe some lawyers who say that.
Mr. Gamey, thank you so much for your time with us this morning. It's been interesting, an interesting conversation, and looking at the different outlooks on this matter. One thing for sure we want is to be a catalyst in terms of where we move forward to. Like has been reiterated, it matters not where it comes from. We must look at what the pros are and the cons are, and it's not pros without cons. There are cons. But can we do it? Do we need it at this time? Do we not need it at this time? Who will do it? It's like the proverbial saying, who will bell the cat? Well, that's how we hang the conversation. It's been a conversation with Austin Gamey. He's a labor consultant. Now, we'll take a bit of a breather. When we return, there's been a lot of talk and some bashing and some lifting up of the idea to stay away from imports of things like fruit juices, rice, among a host of other items, including the intestines of animals, what we popularly call yemwadie and others. But the point is, how do we do that? How easy is it to do? Should it be a one fell swoop thing? How long will it take? Well, my colleague Evans Mensah has been sitting with Kobina Tahiru Hammond, Kitty Hammond, as we usually call him, the Minister for Trade and Industry, and he's been sharing his thoughts on some of these matters. After the break, we'll bring you the conversation on that. Do stay.